Welcome to my channel, Learn and Earn, to live your life on your own terms. Is Indian economy facing stagflation? This is an assumption, this is a prediction which our former Prime Minister Shri Manmohan Singh has made. So you must be wondering, what is stagflation? What phenomena is this stagflation? Now, if I have to tell you in simple words, if I have to explain you what exactly is stagflation, in simple words, it is happening of two phenomenons simultaneously. First, the inflation is rising. In second, when GDP growth is declining. So these are the two phenomena in an economy happening together one by one. So on one side inflation is rising, and on the other side the GDP growth is getting lowered. So we are growing at a less pace. Now we all know by now that Indian economy is facing crisis. It is under slowdown. Many of the sectors in the Indian economy are not performing. Manufacturing, services, telecom, banking industry, exports, production of crops, everything is under mess, because of which all the big institutions have already downgraded the growth rate of India. But there was only one phenomena which was happening. The GDP was going down. But now another phenomena has come and hit India, which is rise in inflation. Inflation has hit a 16-month high of 9.8%. Never has been the inflation so high in the last 1 year. At the same time, there is negative growth rate. The growth rate is falling down. So when these two phenomena happen simultaneously, it is called stagflation. I hope you got the concept absolutely right. So a combination of simultaneously rising inflation and unemployment is called stagflation. So two things are happening together. Inflation is rising, unemployment is increasing, the economy is going down. Now this term was coined by Paul Samuelson, the first American to win the Nobel Prize in economics. So he described that simultaneous rise of inflation and unemployment rate, especially in US in 1970s and 80s, caused stagflation. During 1973, the US inflation rose more than double to almost 8.7%. It climbed to 14% by 1980. And through this period of increasing inflation, unemployment remained high. And this was the start for a great crisis which America had to face afterwards. Now you must be wondering, what causes stagflation. Now you have understood what is stagflation. Stagflation is when the economy is going down, a lot of unemployment is there, and the inflation is rising. That is stagflation. Tick. Now let us understand what causes stagflation. Now, among the most analyzed episode of stagflation is one which began in US in 1974 and ended in 1980s. It was a set off by a series of supply shock led by surging oil prices and other excessively expansionary monetary policy, especially in 1972, which allowed expectations of inflation to become entrenched. This led to the breakdown of inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment, which is also called Phillips curve. So the appearance of stagflation proved Friedman's prediction that over the long run there is no trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So when these two macroeconomic parameters, macroeconomic parameters means the parameters which affect the economy on a larger scale, such as unemployment, inflation. This will affect the entire economy. And when these two things start spreading together in the economy, that is called stagflation. So now you have understood what is stagflation, what are the causes of stagflation. Now, what has Dr. Manmohan Singh said, or what did he aspire? Why is he feeling that Indian economy is coming under stagflation? Now, Manmohan Singh noted that incomes are not growing. That is true. Household consumption is slowing. This is also true. People are dipping into their savings. Yes, if there is no money and if the consumption is slowing, people will definitely be using their savings. White fuel inflation has risen sharply. Now, this is the major concern. Along with low demand, low income, low consumption, the food inflation is rising. Now, the risk of stagflation will set only if inflation becomes uncontrollable. And that is the time when Indian economy will be in a very difficult phase to control this phenomena. So I hope this concept is absolutely clear. Now, what is inflation growth trade off? Now, let us understand this. Now, the real GDP goes up with higher demand, and we know that now the demand is all time low in the market. Now, firms employ more workers and unemployment falls. As the economy gets closer to full capacity, inflationary pressure goes up. But with lower unemployment, workers can still demand higher wages, causing wage inflation. The companies can still raise prices as demand is strong. In this situation, unemployment falls but inflation increases. Phillips' curve explained this by suggesting policymakers can't target both low inflation and low unemployment. So, if there is high inflation and if there is low unemployment, it is very difficult for the government to control both these phenomena together. This is what the concept says. The fifth important point is why is stagflation counterintuitive? Now, the stagflation of 1970s in US and UK led many economists to say that Phillips curve had broken down. Friedman said that Phillips curve trade-off only existed in the short run due to money illusion, where workers are slow to anticipate the inflation in the next year. In the long run, expectations are adjusted and there is no trade off. So, after the 2008 crisis, US unemployment fell from 10% to 4.4%, while inflation was 1 to 2%. So, even if there is a recovery or even if the employment falls to even lower level, which is already quite low, it will be difficult to control inflation. And if inflation falls, it will be difficult to control unemployment. So it's a very precarious situation for the government of India. And I'm sure the government would be thinking towards doing something constructively and improving the state of economy. today. So this video would be very informative if you want to understand the concept of stagflation. Thank you.